Hello everybody, and welcome to my new spooky October Let's Play, Trilby's Notes. Now, this is a sequel, or a part of a series, I should say, of games that I've already played on this channel. So, you might not understand what's going on if you're just jumping into this. The two games I've played before this are 5 Days a Stranger and 7 Days a Skeptic. Technically, this is the third game in the series. However, if you have not seen the other two Let's Plays, this one and the second one are sort of interchangeable, so I at least recommend watching the very first one, 5 Days a Stranger, and then watching this one. Or you could watch 5 Days and then 7 Days, and then watch this one, because I will be making references to 7 Days a Skeptic, even though it's not completely necessary to watch that one to understand. But this is one of 4 games, so there's going to be one more game after this one. And it is one of the scariest games. I believe this one is in fierce competition with the last one as the scariest game in the series. This is the Chzo Mythos series. That's C-H-Z-O. And it does get pretty terrifying, made by Ben Yahtzee, as you saw at the beginning. He's the same guy who does the no period commentary, or no punctuation commentary. Sorry, that's what it's called. Or no punctuation reviews, something like that. And he's pretty good. I like this guy. So without further ado, let us begin the game. No tutorial. So this one works a little bit differently than the other 3 games, and you'll see why. And no commentary. By the way, this game is for free, so you can just download it and play it. So if you want to play it with commentary, then there you go. The following documents are taken from the handwritten notes of Trilby, an STP field operative. I missed that. And that is the game, so thank you for watching Let's Play Trilby's No. Game over. Yeah, this is talking about the end of the first game, 5 Days a Stranger. That was what I thought as I stood and watched the fell manor collapse into flaming ash. So yeah, Trilby's British, so I'll be giving him a British accent. The ordeal was over. These 5 days cost us all so much. Philip and AJ paid with their lives. They were the fortunate ones. Jim Fowler was expelled from school for truancy, a bright future in tatters. Simone Taylor took to the bottle. Her broadcast became slurred, her eyes hollow and unwelcoming. She soon vanished from television screens. As for me, I tried to return to a life as a cat burglar, but I had been forever tainted by my time spent in that wretched house. The memories of my possession came back to my nightmares. Every night I was there again, in the mansion, staring out through unfamiliar eyes, as Philip died at my hands. I became convinced that John Defoe was not at rest, that someday he would return for me. I became so terrified of invisible enemies that I forgot about the tangible ones. Trilby caught. 2 slow, miserable years after Defoe Manor, a barrage of truncheon blows caught me a harsh lesson in reality, and I woke up in the kind of filthy cell I assumed would be my new home. But then he came, the man from the government with his nervous smile, offering an alternative. The STP, the Special Talent Project. It hadn't been that much earlier that I would have sooner died than entered an obligation with anyone, least of all the government. Had Defoe Manor changed me so much? Whatever my reasons, I left my post behind, resolved to give my new superiors nothing to complain about. I spent a year and a half completing assignments, developing contacts, building a reputation. And then the past caught up. In the summer of 1997, I became concerned about Simone Taylor's mental well-being. The papers were reporting her continual breakdown, and she'd become a virtual recluse. I had no idea if my appearance would assist or hinder. I had, after all, deliberately allowed her to think me dead. Presumably she knew different now, after the media coverage of my arrest, but I would expect her to be bitter about my subterfuge. On balance, I decided that a meeting with an old friend would most likely be beneficial. I came to her apartment building on a warm, stormy night, and braced myself for the encounter. And here we are. So, this looks like the other two games. It's the same graphics, you move around. However, there is no point-and-click interface. Instead, this game is parser-based, meaning you type in your commands. Now, there's a very good reason that they do this in this game, because it just wouldn't have worked with a point-and-click interface, and it'll become clear why as the game goes on. Someone's apartment building was gripped by a thick smell of musty, unwashed carpets. It perplexed me that a celebrity would choose to live in such a low-rent accommodation. So we can look. Storm. A summer storm was raging outside. Light rain pattered against the glass, the gentle noise punctuated by rumbles of coarse thunder. Yeah, it's been a while since I've played a game like this. I think the last one I did was King's Quest IV. There were two entrances to two apartments. Simone was the one on the right. So yeah, make sure you know which one is the right one. Let's knock. I knocked sharply upon Simone's door. Not getting an answer, and if you want to bring a command back up, press F3. Receiving no reply, I knocked again, louder. But still nothing. Still no response. The doorman had assured me Simone was in. I decided it was time to enter by my own methods. So we open door. Basic security measures ensured that was impossible. It's locked. So what do? Well, we have an inventory system. To check that, just press I and B. We have lockpicks, which is convenient. So, use lockpick on door. I reasoned that Simone could have been in trouble, and even if she wasn't, then at worst I was only playing to my reputation. I spent a few minutes feverishly picking the lock, then let myself in. A few minutes? I thought you were better than that. Oh, and it is very dark. What? Did I see something? Well, along with looking, you can actually feel. There was something on the floor that I couldn't quite identify. Uh-oh. Simone's bedroom light refused to turn on. I stood in pitch darkness, the intermediate flashes of lightning preventing my eyes from adjusting. Oh boy. Window. The storm continued outside. I wondered why only part of the light was entering the room. Feel window. I discovered a blind hanging down over the window. Alright. Open blind. I pulled open the blind. Would that help? The body on the floor was undoubtedly Simone. I felt for her pulse and my hands came moist-stained with long, cold blood. My fingers traced the outline of a large wound in her torso, slashed by a big weapon wielded by a big assailant. I called for an ambulance, as futile as it would be, and left before they arrived. Due to me being a clear murder suspect, I was relieved from duty for the week it took for the Ministry of Occultism to inspect the flat and confirm supernatural activity. My superiors simultaneously apologized and assigned me to investigate if there was a connection to the Defoe Manor incident. Merely reading those 3 words capitalized on the front of a loose-leaf file brought the nightmares back with more intensity than ever. Sure enough, a field agent reported that the looters had discovered and sold several artifacts from the mansion, including the wooden idol that housed John Defoe's soul. I'll remember that idol from, we found that again in 7 Days of Skeptic. To my surprise, no murders had been reported or committed by anyone who had come into contact with the accursed trinket. I did not find this reassuring. I quickly advised James Fowler to go into hiding. He was stunned but agreed. The boy had sense and still respected my judgment. This done, I began following the idol's trail. From the pawn shop it had entered the possession of one Professor Abed Chahal, an authoritative historian. And if you remember well enough, 7 Days a Skeptic, Chahal was also the last name of the captain aboard the Mephistopheles. Wonder if there's a connection there. He has scheduled some kind of antique fair in the Clanbronwyn Hotel, on a small island off the coast of Anglesey, popular with tourists. Assuming the role of a scholar of antiquities, I booked a room. On the 28th of July, 1997, I caught a ferry from Porthelchog and Anglesey and arrived at around 3 p.m. in Clanbronwyn Island's coastal village. It seemed a peaceful hamlet, and in defiance of stereotype, the locals were welcoming and told no local legends to dissuade me from exploring the island. The Clanbronwyn Hotel was in the island's center, surrounded by forest. I made my way there on foot. You're Trilby, right? As soon as I arrived, I was greeted by a balding man in a grey anorak. I wondered if I was expected to know who he was. That depends. My name was Lankman. I'm with the Ministry of Occultism. Oh? I thought the Ministry were clear on the fact that I was handling this on my own. Maybe there are still people who don't trust you, Mr. Trilby. What? I haven't stolen anything since I joined the STP. Your colorful past is not what concerns my superiors. It hasn't gone unnoticed that your history with the Defoe Wraith influenced you psychologically. I'm sure you resist it, but it could still cause you to act irrationally or disobey orders. Everyone just feels a little safer with someone else on the ground. I see. You can rest assured that I will endeavor to maintain absolute professionalism on this assignment. Nevertheless, I have my orders. I would suggest we keep out of each other's way, then pursue separate investigations. I'm sure I don't want to get mixed up in a reunion. I watched him disappear around the corner of the building. I very much doubted that Lankman and I would become friends. The Clanbronwyn Hotel lobby was a warm welcome. The building was certainly well maintained, and yet there was something about it that nagged at the back of my mind, quickening my pulse. I dismissed the sensation, an act which, in retrospect, I would come to regret. Good evening, Terence Whaleby. I have a reservation. Ah, yes, you're here for the antique fair? We've put you in room 3C on the 3rd floor if you'd just like to sign in the check-in book. Hello, Bethan. I'm just letting you know I'll be having my dinner in my room today. That's Professor Chahal, by the way, and I'm giving him an Indian accent. That's absolutely fine, Professor, because he's Indian. This, I decided, was what they called a golden opportunity. I hope it doesn't sound racist, but, yeah. Professor Chahal? Yes? I'm afraid you have me at a disadvantage. Whaleby, Terence Whaleby, we met at Sotheby's a few months ago. Oh, you don't remember me? No, of course I do. Terry Whaleby, how you've been? The astute reader has already guessed that both Terence Whaleby and the previous meeting were utter fiction. I'd spent some time studying Chahal's movements and habits. He was, by all accounts, absent-minded, and that was something I could use. I'm well, thanks. I was hoping to run into you. I'd heard interesting things about the items you're showcasing here. You remember I do freelance scouting for some wealthy collectors. Yes. Well, a client of mine expressed an interest in relics from the Defoe Manor in Buckinghamshire. He's been on my back for a while about it. Between you and me, he seems pretty obsessed. What remained of Professor Chahal's suspicion melted away from his expression, as the opportunity to make money entered the conversation. Well, I'm sure you wouldn't want to damage your professional status. Would you like to come up to my room for drinks? Oh, I don't want to impose. No imposition at all. Please follow me. Your room key, Mr. Trilby. Ah, thank you. Please lead the way, Professor. Abed, here's your friend. Oh, let me introduce you. This is my personal assistant, Siobhan. She accompanies me on most of my excursions. Siobhan, this is Mr. Trilby, an old acquaintance. He's looking for information on Defoe Manor artifacts. Oh, really? Him and half the people will meet. What is it about that place? Never underestimate the attraction of a mystery, my dear. Please take a seat, Terry. I'll be right with you. So, interested in ghost stories? Okay, so yeah, first of all, yeah, her name is pronounced Siobhan, like that name looks like Siobhan, but it's an Irish name, and yeah, it has a weird pronunciation, but it's Siobhan, and so I'm giving her an Irish accent, the best I can. The girl struck me as a forceful personality. I gave the matter some thought before replying. Not really, I'm just scouting on behalf of a client, like I told the professor. You're not as strange to see someone as young as you in the antiques trade. I'm giving her a Scottish accent. Come to think of it, I think the only old men dress like that. No offense meant. None taken. I didn't catch your last name. It's O'Malley. Siobhan O'Malley. Couldn't be more Irish if I tried, could it? Sorry to keep you waiting, dear boy. Now then, what shall we talk about? Let's take a look around. So I might switch into Scottish accents sometimes. Sorry, I'll try to remember. The hotel room was pleasant, but had apparently been built in the times before ensuite bathrooms. The sofa and bed were competing pinks. A small desk was provided, and a television sat on the opposite counter. Girl. Siobhan O'Malley struck me as somewhat tomboyish young woman. With an unreserved attitude, she was watching me with an odd half-smile on her face. Professor Charles struck me as a likable man, a gay humor scholar with an old-fashioned outlook. For his status, I considered his style of dress eccentric in its casualness. Well, let's ask about Idol. Tell me, does this huge man in a whittling mask and a leather apron mean anything to you? Not really, should it? Never mind. It's a small African figurine that my client wants me to look into. Resembling a rather ugly tribal god. That old thing. Honestly, despite its age, it's virtually valueless. That's what I said, but my client is very insistent. He's interested in the paranormal, and the idol features in some more unlikely accounts of the Defoe Manor incident. Well, I don't suppose I should ask questions if this man of yours wants to take it off my hands. I don't have it on me right now. It's being kept in the hotel safe. Perhaps we can work out a deal after the fair. I'd intended to display it with the other Defoe artifacts. Inwardly, I just wanted to get this mission completed as fast as possible, but I didn't want to risk suspicion or giving off the wrong impression. That will be fine. So just out of interest, what else have you picked up from the mansion? Odds and ends, basically. Some silverware and ceramics. Most of a burnt rocking chair, and the painting, of course. Painting? A landscape from a wall in the mansion's lounge. Of little artistic value, but the artist features prominently in Defoe Manor's colourful history. Matthew Defoe. That's him, yes. Bethan, she runs the hotel. She asked if she could display it in the lobby. Instantly, I recalled the sick feeling I had felt in the lobby. I'd seen the painting, but I paid it little heed. Oh wow, I didn't even notice it. But yeah, there was a landscape painting back in 5 Days a Stranger in the manor. And strangely enough, a figure appears in the background of it. Like, in one of the days, like day 3 or 4 or something like that. Creepy. Oh. Are you alright, Mr. You look rather pale. What? I'm sorry, just distracted by my thoughts for a moment. Lost in history, eh? Something like that. Oh, jeez. Oh, Mr. Ailby. What was that? What? You were just sitting there, then you went all stiff like you'd seen a ghost. You didn't see it? See what, Mr. Ailby? I'm sorry, I have to go. Something's wrong. Oh, well, we won't keep you then. See you later, maybe? My head was spinning, and a sudden nausea churned in my gut. The world seemed to be pulsating, the corners of the room were wavering like a heat haze. You may say I imagined these things, and I thought that must have been the case. Was I going out of my mind? Was the hotel really changing into some nightmarish twin? Was I the only one who could see it? If I was hallucinating, it was too complex. The harsh wooden floor beneath my feet felt real enough. The horrendous stench of rotting flesh that reached my nostrils could not have been conjured by my imagination. I decided to find John Defoe's idol as soon as possible. If not that, then at least the painting Jahal had mentioned. I was convinced that some connection lay between Defoe Manor and this sudden madness. Oh boy, things are not starting out well. So where the heck are we anyway? What is going on? And will these voices stop? Ooh. You're just gonna have to find out next time on Let's Play Trilby's Notes. Thank you for watching and have a good day.